Hello everyone! Welcome to the first episode of our new leadership series called Leadership Matters, where we talk about leadership and the principles of leadership and learn the keys to being a great leader in your company, your ministry, your family, and your life. We hope you will gain something as you tune in. Enjoy!
Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in into Chin Up. This is the segment, the very, very new segment on Leadership Matters. There's two thoughts about Leadership Matters. First of all, it matters. And second of all, we want to talk about Leadership Matters. So here we have in the studio with us this morning a very beautiful and learned lineup of guests. And on my right, I want to just say hi to Shirley, who is one of the elders of my church called ACTS, and also the administrator of AYA, Asian Youth Ambassadors. On my left is Rose, also an elder in our church, ACTS Church, and she's also one of the leaders who is helping me move this new company called Mordecai Coaching, and we're very glad to have her here with us. And on my far left is Jason Kong, who owns his really, really effective and efficient company called Activity Lab. And he's doing very well. Just take it from me, he's doing very well. So we are also glad to have him with us today. Now, we hope that all of you listening and even watching to this segment called Leadership Matters will be blessed, encouraged, and maybe you will learn something. Maybe you will be able to take a thought and develop it even further than we can even talk about it today. And we pray that all of you will be so blessed in everything that you do, especially those of you who are leaders in your organizations. So thank you very much again for tuning in. Let's get started. Hello.
Hey, Pastor.
Yes, Jason, Rose, and Shirley. Hello. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Pastor.
I think I'll kick the ball rolling and get it started. I've always been curious, Pastor. In your mind, are leaders actually made or born?
Okay, good question. I believe leaders are made because to say that they are born almost gives them an automatic excuse, either to rise just because of their nature or not rise because they were not born to be leaders. I think, even from the Bible and from experience, it shows you that, some might look like they are natural born leaders. And so I don't deny that, that there is certain maybe DNA that might cause a person to, a parent might tell me, oh, my child has been leading since he or she was, 3. I think what the parent is saying is that this child has got characteristics of a leader, maybe the characteristics of stubbornness or being hard-headed, those kind of things, But that doesn't really make one a leader, right? It just shows that maybe this person could lead, maybe in a sense of a natural tendency, this person could actually be natural, feel comfortable in being at the front. But really, we know many leaders that are, in the midst of us, or leaders that we have seen. Doesn't mean that just because a person likes to step in front and walk in front, doesn't mean that he or she is a leader. So I think leaders, the real meaning of leaders, who lead not just with, a stubborn head or a hard head, but a leader that leads with compassion, a leader that leads with vision, a leader that leads with patience, a leader that leads, with care, with love. All these is not really inherent. All this is developed from childhood. And, it's never too late to be developed as a leader, I believe, as long as a person is willing. as long as a person is open, teachable, I believe that anyone and everyone can be made into a leader, again, as long as they're willing and teachable. I really, really believe that leaders are made, not really born.
Right. Yeah, and I remember there's one thing that you have said before, Pastor, that leaders can make mistakes. You just make sure that you don't make it again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you are probably one of the most forgiving leader that I've seen, Pastor.
Thank you.
That when you said that we don't cry over spilled milk, and once you address the issue and you actually you actually move on. And while people might not be ready moved on yet with the emotions, or sentiments, but Pastor, you moved on and you went on. But I find it quite interesting to see that, Pastor, because sometimes our emotions and sentiments can cause us to like think twice or stay in this position for a while. But what makes you to be able to move on so quickly, Pastor? Because when you say you moved on, you really moved on, and you never dig out or bring back the past mistakes and to for the person, and you moved on and you see the person with a fresh new lens. How do you do that, Pastor?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Shirley, but it's a very good question. I've got a few thoughts to that. One is that the way I was brought up, I didn't have a mom since I was 1 year old. And my dad was never really around. And those who know my story know that my dad was on drugs. My mom divorced my dad when I was 1. And so with all that family background, I guess I grew up a little bit tougher. And it's just, how sometimes the Lord allows us to go through things because He knows the kind of characteristic we need in the days to come. And so we don't cry over our own spilled milk. We don't cry over our own past. We thank God for every experience we go through because that experience makes us, right? So it makes us not so emotional guy to start with. That's background first. Secondly, I think this is probably even bigger. I do genuinely believe in people. And I believe that everyone has good in them. And everyone wants to improve. I take that as a general rule first. Some people, of course, might not want that. Some people might not believe in that. But I think it's very, very important that no matter what people think, I believe that people are meant for good. People want to do better. And so, yes, people make mistakes. I've made many mistakes. And people have also given me chance. God has given me many chances. And so as, the Lord taught us how to pray, forgive us our trespass as we forgive those who trespass against us. So there's a lot of correlation between us and God, us and others. Yeah. So I believe that believing in people helps me just get over whatever it is that they have made in terms of mistakes, because once is enough, to me. If you have to scold the person, tell off the person, reprimand the person, whatever it is, point out the mistake, I think once is enough, because if you keep repeating it, then you become a nagger, and I don't know why people nag so much, because to nag is almost like me. I want to get my frustrations out. Wow. But if it's always the other person, then you don't have to nag so much, because it's not about you. Can you hear my frustration? Do you know how mad I am at you? Sometimes, we can also get into that kind of situations, and it doesn't make you bad. There are times like that. But I think most times when you believe in someone and when you do something for someone, scold that person for him, not for you. Wow. Discipline that person for him or her, not for you. Then I believe then you don't have to carry on. And again, another thought is it's not personal. Yeah. Unless, of course, it becomes personal. Wow, you touch my wife, then it becomes personal. But otherwise, most things are ministry related, business related, money related. Money can disappear and come back again. It's not like it's personal. That's what I want to say. And so don't make it personal. And if you don't make it personal, then it doesn't become emotional. And so I think it's very, very important to always have the other person in mind, and don't nag. The quicker you get over it, the better. And again, to think about God, how He gets over our issues, how He gets over our idiosyncrasies and foolishness and mistakes. I think if our God kept it going, if He kept all these things in His heart, the Bible is very clear, right? He doesn't, as far as the east is from the west, He makes sure that He chucks our sin away. He is not a God that remembers all these things. So I don't want to go in the way of keeping some of these things in my heart, in my mind. I also think it's not good for health. It causes the leader a lot of stress, and that stress can also lead to ill health. So why do ministry with stress? Why do ministry inviting sickness? And one last point about also forgiveness is this, that sometimes when you hold something in your heart, you're not actually sure whether that person has already gotten right with God. And to me, it's important because if I have an issue with any of you here at this table, and I presume that you haven't changed. I presume that just because this happened yesterday afternoon, that you haven't gone to your knees at night and gotten it right with God. And then if I continue to take it on, balance brought forward, as they say in accounts, to today, then I am in the position of God. I play God now. Because actually, you as my sister or you as my brother have already made right with God last night. So I think it's very, very important that, we don't balance, bring forward. We don't think that the other person hasn't actually made right with God because a person can change. And so I think it's very, very important. I think your question is, how do I get over it? Yeah. So all these thoughts help me. That person, maybe he already brought it to God already. Who am I to hold it? If God could let it go, who am I to hold it? Wow. And so this is very, very important. And I think it helps also the other person move on. It also hopefully helps the other person see that I genuinely care for him or for her, and I'm not that kind of person that is so petty. It's very important not to be petty as a leader. Yeah.
Wow. Pastor, what you shared just now was that I think what struck with me was that you said that you are, how do you decide what to do with this person is you're thinking what is best for this person. But I think that's the hard part, Pastor. Like all of us, most of us would want to I want to get a piece of my mind, give. Sure. But how do you get from here to there so quickly? Because I've also heard parents saying that when they discipline the child, they try not to discipline out of frustration, because even with caning or using the rod, so they had to restrain themselves and say, okay, let's discipline with a clear head instead of out of my emotions. But how do you go from here to there so quickly to think about what's best for the person instead of my emotions? Because Pastor, honestly, you are one of the most cool-headed person, calmest person I've ever seen, Pastor, that you are not emotional and yet you could have such compassion for people. But yeah, Pastor, how do you keep calm so well?
Okay, besides of what I just said earlier, believing the person, wanting the best for the person, and also my relationship with God, how I expect Him to also be treating me, quick to forgive, slow to anger. Maybe also how I expect others to do that to me as well. So all that counts. But I guess what also helps is that person's response. Now, if that person reacts in a way that I don't care what you say, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you decide, it might make it a little bit more difficult for me. I can't say it will immediately get over that. I might take days, if not weeks. But I think I keep it in my heart because the Bible also says that, when things happened to Joseph and Mary, Mary kept things in her heart. Not in a bad way of keeping things in my heart and one day I will, chew you up, but keep things in my heart and say, okay, maybe it's not time now to express. Maybe it's not time now to make a decision. Maybe it's not time now to get upset about it. I just keep it in my heart and weigh it out. Not enough evidence, maybe, to get me to the next decision. But most of the time, people's response has been good. And that makes it very much easier, like they are teachable. they actually say, yes, Pastor, thank you for your patience. Yes, I understand where you're coming from. Thank you so much for doing it. Thank you so much for the discipline. I remember when my sister was very young, she's 12 years younger than me, and my parents, my dad and my stepmom was working. So I used to come back in the afternoon, I would take care of her. I would have to discipline her. My stepmom wasn't very good at disciplining my sister. And so there came a time when my sister listened to me more than she listened to her mom, because I was caring for her and I was also disciplining her. Now, it was funny because I think it was once a week that I had to discipline her, and I used a cane. Every time she resisted, every time she fought back, she would get probably about 2 cuts or 3 on her hand or on her bum. And then one day, as she was being rude, and I can't remember exactly what she was doing, but I said, Nicole, when we get back home, what you'll be getting, right? And she looks at me and she says, yes, Gore. And I got back home. I was very calm, but my sister got out of the car first. She went into the house and she got the cane out for me. And she presented the cane out. She presented the cane to me and said, Gore, I deserve it.
Wow.
That day, she didn't even get 1 cut from me. Not even one. Because people's response actually already tells you that they know. Now, of course, my sister could manipulate that in the days to come. She never did. She never manipulated that. But actually, more importantly, she learned. Yeah. She learned that Koko doesn't discipline her for no reason. And actually, that day, I showed her that I don't have to do this to you. I don't have to, because it's more important that you know and you don't do it again. And so I think it's I'm relating that story because I think it's the same way I respond to the people around me. Now, if people fight it and all that, then of course they're asking for more trouble. I've had to let go some staff before and some leaders before. Never easy for me. Never a thought that is the first thought that crosses my mind. I'm always into wanting to restore, even as God has restored me, wanting to give people a second chance, even as God has given me a second chance. But, it's how people fight what you're trying to do, how people react. I didn't say respond this time, but react and actually, show their stubbornness or their unwillingness to be taught. And then it just breaks your heart. But then you have to go further. I sometimes have to come to the last resort, which is to let them go or to release them from leadership. Very, very, very painful because I really genuinely believe in people. But an answer to your question is I get over it quickly when people respond. And I can tell you 99% have responded well. And I thank God for that.
We hope the session has been insightful and revelational. But before we leave, here is something for you to reflect upon. Have you ever made mistakes as a leader? Or been directly impacted by a leader's mistake? After listening to this session, what would you have done differently? Stay tuned for the next episode of Leadership Matters. Till then, God bless.